Hi there. This is just a wee video to run through some of the basic Pilates exercises, talk a little bit about our rest position in lying, so think about our alignment, and then I'll add in one of the endurance exercises starting to work a little bit harder with the abdominals. None of these exercises should feel uncomfortable for you to do, it shouldn't hurt your back. If you're not sure about them, you need to drop me a line, or when we're next to a class, you can get me to go through them with you. But they're all exercises that we've been through, so you should be reasonably comfortable with them, but just thought you might appreciate a little reminder if you feel like you want to practice at home, if you're that way inclined. Just starting, I'm just going to lie down. I've got sort of two little head cushions here. They are 1 inch thick. We've been using these in the classes. If you're doing it at home, a folded towel will give you that sort of height. You might need one, you might need a second one, see how you feel. I'm going to start off with one and then I'll just sort of talk through when you might want to have a second one. So, down on your back, and when we lie in the back, in terms of sort of talking about the cushions, you want the plane of your face to be parallel to the ceiling. So if I take a cushion out, that's just a little bit too flat for me, so my chin starts to stick out a wee bit so I can get the back of my head down. So I need to have that little cushion there. I want to think about the back of the head stretching away from you, so the chin just drops gently down towards your throat. It shouldn't be a forced movement, it should just sort of rest there quite naturally. So the back of the neck's nice and long. Widen through the shoulders, and working our way down, this area here, back of the shoulder blades, should feel like it's sinking into the mat. Now this is the point, if you feel that you're not able to get the back of the ribcage down, if it feels like you're sort of suspended there, grab yourself a little bit more support underneath your head. And you should find then that that lets the back of the ribcage kind of connect down into the floor. Working down, this bit here, the small of the back, there should be a wee gap there. It should naturally fall there, so don't try and give yourself a gap, but equally don't try and flatten your lower back down into the floor. You should be relaxed, and you should just about be able to slide your hand through there with a little bit of resistance. The feet want to be hip width apart, so we start with the feet together. I don't know if you can see this in the film. Turn your toes out and let your heels follow. Give your toes a wee bit of a wriggle, and looking down, your knees now should be in line with your bony bits of your hip bones at the front. So that's our starting position. It's always worth just having just a quick scan through before we start doing stuff when we're lying down. So if we know that this is our good starting point, that's what we're working to either maintain or to move back to if we're doing exercises where we're moving a bit more. We're just going to start by taking a big breath in. And as you breathe in, you should feel the back of your ribcage kind of connecting into the mat a little bit more. Because as you breathe, your lungs fill with air, your lungs expand, your ribcage is going to move a little bit. So that big breath in, feel that pressure through the back of the ribcage, and then as you breathe out, we're just going to lift through the pelvic floor muscles, that little bit of connection there, and the lower abdominals should start to tighten up. Hold that connection if you can as you take a couple more breaths. So big breath in and a long breath out. So that's us getting into rest position, engaging our centre. So spine's nice and long, wide shoulder blades, back of the ribcage, shoulder blades connected into the mat, back of the head should feel quite heavy into your cushion. Don't let your chin stick out. We're going to start with hip twist level 1, and I know this one doesn't lend itself very well to the screen because it's two-dimensional, but what I'm doing is I'm opening one knee to the side, taking a breath in to prepare, breathe out, let that knee open, breathe in to return, switch to the other side, breathe in to return. So your hip bones are staying still. So if you imagine you've got headlights coming out of your hip bones, think about those headlights pointing up towards the ceiling and make sure that they're not moving at all. If you want, pop your hands in front of the hips because that often helps keep you a wee bit more stable. So that's your breath out to move, breath in to return, And you're looking at doing maybe somewhere between about 8 and 10 of these. So this shouldn't feel very tricky. You shouldn't be having lots of work coming on in the abdominals here. It should be reasonably relaxed. But you might need to tighten your tummy a little bit if you find that you can't control your hip movement. So as the knee opens, think about the other side, the back of the pelvis on the other side, and make sure it doesn't lift up at all. Alternate sides here. So that's hip twist level 1. Then I'm going to add in a leg slide. So this is one leg stretch level 1. So that's a breath out to slide your leg away from you and a breath in to return. So it should feel quite straightforward again. But just be a little bit careful of what you're feeling through this part of your body. As the leg extends away, make sure that your back doesn't start to lift away from the mat. Breath out to stretch, breath in to return. These exercises, these early ones, are really just about trying to get an awareness of your alignment and awareness of your posture in lying, just so your brain starts to sort of think, okay, right, this is where our neutral is. If you start to move away from that, then you should be aware of it. Okay, so now we're going to bring a leg into a tabletop, single tabletop. So it's like a little marching movement. And what we're doing is trying to think about where that position is. So you want to stop when your knee's above your hip and you've got a right angle at your knee. Don't let your hips sway from side to side. So hips stay level. So you might feel your tummy just tightening up a little bit as you switch sides. If you want, you can add in an arm movement. Breath out to lift, breath in to return. And we can progress this movement into one leg stretch level 2 if you wish. So this is just a little bit more lowered than when you're sliding your leg along the floor, but it's a progression of that same movement, which we work in with Pilates quite a lot, this leg extension movement. So with the leg extension, imagine you're stretching your leg out and trying to press a bottom on the wall in front of you. Don't let anything move from your rib cage, don't let the back arch up. If you want to make it a little bit trickier, slightly more challenging, the leg extends lower down the wall. You won't notice a huge amount of difference in terms of difficulty with the other foot on the floor, but when we work towards this with the second leg lifted, you'll notice a big difference. Okay, feet back down. We're going to do our double tabletop prep now. So this is now starting to get a little bit more challenging. These first few exercises, we're just working on alignment really. But this is now starting to bring in some strength and some load through the abdominal muscles. You should feel this in your tummy and you shouldn't feel it in your back. So if you're feeling it in your back, you've not quite got your alignment right and the muscles aren't quite connecting as we want them to do. So if you do feel it in your back and you can't control that, that's when you need to stop and get it checked out. I'm going to take a breath in to prepare, and as I breathe out, I'm going to take one leg into tabletop. Now I'm going a bit slowly, so what you'll need to do is take another breath in here, and then as you breathe out again, I'm going to slide my toes towards my bottom and then let that leg come up into the air. So both legs are now in tabletop. The back of the rib cage stays pressed into the floor. Take a breath in, and then as I breathe out, that first leg, I'm bending with the knee, and then reaching that foot down towards the floor, and then the second leg comes down. So that's a breath in to prepare, breath out, take one leg up, slide the other leg up into tabletop, big breath in, and then breathe out. If you let the knee bend, and then bring the other foot down. We're working towards being able to do this without all of the knee bending. So we're working towards it being able to lift, keeping a right angle at the back of the knee. But the nearer your feet are towards you, and even if you lift those heels, it's just going to make it a little bit easier, because hopefully you can see that the leg doesn't have to move as far. So if I'm in this position, it's quite a small movement. If I'm starting from there, it's a bigger range of movement. So that's one of the progressions. Rather than working from here, we start to bring the feet a little bit further away. The crucial bit with this is the back of the rib cage staying pressed down. Now when I talk about the back of the rib cage, we're not talking the whole of the spine. I don't know if you can see that, where I'm flattening the whole of my back. We still want to keep that small curve in the lower part of the spine. It's just trying to keep this bit here connected into the mat and not letting it lift. A second head cushion or a little bit of a bigger cushion underneath your head will often help with this, is it makes sure that you're not lifting from here. Okay, double tabletop prep. Make sure you feel the abdominals, don't let your spine move, and don't let these tummy muscles bulge forward. You should stay nice and flat through the abdominals. Okay, last sort of abdominal one I'm going to do just in this little video is the hundreds. So it's an endurance exercise, it's getting you working these abdominal muscles but trying to do some nice controlled breathing while we're at it. This can be done at level 1, feet stay on the floor. Level 2, you've got one leg lifted. Level 3, both legs lifted. We'll just work up to level 3 today. What we're doing is doing little movements of the hands. So little pulsing movements. We're going to do 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 as we breathe in, and then 5 as we breathe out. If you're keeping both feet down, you're just keeping your centre engaged, that lift through the pelvic floor, wide shoulders, little tiny movements, pulsing the hands, and just keep working through those. Big breath in for 5, and breath out for 5. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to take this to level 2, it's a single tabletop. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're in a single tabletop, you do 50 little counts on one side and then 50 on the other side. If you want to take this to double tabletop, both legs lifted. If you're in double tabletop, squeeze your knees together. Keep those knees above the hips, back of the ribcage down, engage your centre, pulsing with the arms. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 20, and we keep on going until you either get tired or you get to 100. So that's why it's called the hundreds. Okay, bringing the feet down, bringing the feet down. If you've worked there and it feels a bit tired, just let those knees come into your chest and a little bit of a rock from side to side. Okay, last one on our back. So last of these sort of level 1 beginners type exercises is the shoulder bridge. So moving your head cushions out of the way. You want to have your feet a little bit nearer towards you. I seem to be able to get my feet really far back, but they don't need to be quite as far back as that. Ideally your feet are underneath your knees. If they're quite far away from you, you'll find that the back of the legs, the hamstrings really have to work like crazy. So if you can bring your feet back, do that. If your knees don't allow that position, try just bringing your feet a little bit wider instead, and in fact you might even find at that point you can bring your heels back a bit more. We're going to start just with a couple of little small movements. So that's a little pelvic tilt movement and relax. I'm just moving my arms to the side so you can see what I'm doing a little bit more, otherwise my arms are obscuring it. But if you keep your arms by your side. So flattening your lower back, little pelvic tilt, and then rolling back down again. I'm going to start to move a little bit higher with this. So flattening the lower back, now squeezing the bottom, and I'm hoping, I think my top's obscuring this slightly, that's better. You can see that I'm starting to bring the hips up a little bit. So there's now some gap underneath my hips, but the back of the ribcage is still in the mat, still on the mat. Bring ourselves back down again. So flattening the lower back, a little squeeze through the hips, lifting the back of the ribcage up, big breath in, lower back down again. And then we can start to take this into our shoulder bridge. So think about articulating through your spine. So rather than just lifting everything up, we're trying to do a little bit of a rolling movement. So So I always like to imagine my spine as a string of beads. You lift from one end, from the bottom end first, each bead or each vertebra will lift in turn. So bringing ourselves up, take a breath in at the top, and then breathe out to roll back down again. And that's the shoulder bridge. Again, kind of, probably 6 to 8 reps is plenty of this one. Just watch with this that you don't overdo it at the top. So what we're trying to do is get back to our neutral position. Small curve in the lower part of the back, rib cage just gently press down. Try not to overdo it at the top of the movement. If you do, you'll start to feel it in your back. Whereas with this, you should feel a bit of your tummy because you're trying to control this pelvic tilt. You feel a bit in your bum, probably a bit in the back of the legs. Keep your heels heavy, keep pressing your heels into the floor, and as you roll down, initiate with that pelvic tilt. Scoop your tailbone under and roll back down again, back to neutral. So that's your shoulder bridge, basic shoulder bridge. Alright, last one I think is always worth doing is just bring your feet together. Where's my head cushion? Pop your head cushions back in, arms out to the side, hip twist level 2, which is a lovely one to finish off with. So your arms are out, press the shoulder blades into the floor, backs of the arms into the floor, and we're moving the knees. Don't let your shoulder lift, because you'll just lose a little bit of the stretch. Take in a breath, and as you breathe out, bring the knees back up again. Breathe in as you go through centre, and then breathe out. Move to the other side. Such a lovely one, this one. Just take it really nice and slowly, so you do want to take in that big breath when your arms are extended. Okay, hip twist level 2. All right, just going to bring myself up. So that's sort of the basic level 1, week 1 Pilates exercises. There is much about just trying to give you some awareness of your posture, try and get you to focus on your posture as they are about anything else. They're not massively challenging. The shoulder bridge is certainly starting to bring in some strengthening through your glute muscles, backs of your legs, and the double tabletop prep and hundreds are starting to bring some strength into the abdominals. But it's just really starting to think about moving your spine and just being a little bit aware of your posture. So don't, give them a go if you want to give them a go. You might want to sort of listen, pause it, go through a few reps yourself. If anything you're not sure about, let me know when you see me next. But I hope you get on alright with those, and I will see you soon.